Welcome, one and all, to a very special premiere edition of Recording in Progress live on Mr. Dapperton's channel. My name's Larry, and with me is Jimothy Jesus, and this is our little show called Recording in Progress, where we like to take the progress of life, slow it down into nice, digestible bites, so that we can all consume it and move forward and progress. How's it going, Jim?
Pretty good. What is this show exactly?
So, Recording in Progress is a brainchild I had because I went on your other live streaming joint a few times, had a good time. And I was like, Jim, argumentation ethics and ontological empiricism and things like that are great and all. But wouldn't you like to do a YouTube show about things that normal people are interested in? And
Uh, well, I wouldn't say argumentation ethics is a good thing, but that's another video.
that would be something that on our regular channel we would call a esoteric reference, but it's not that esoteric here.
No.
If you get what I'm meaning. So we talk about movies, pop culture. We talk about lol cows, though we don't really have a whole lot of lol cow news we're going to go shoot with today. We talk about Facebook and internet censorship, people being moderators on Facebook for free, that usual little pie intersection of things.
Yeah, so we take a break from talking about the tyranny of the roads to talk about the tyranny of the silver screen, and other things, comic books,
And other things.
yeah, and music now.
And music now. We have a pop cultural entertainment thing, and we like to bring content to help enrich everybody's life and help them appreciate these things more.
Are we culturally enriching them? Is that what you're saying?
That is certainly a reference you can take out of that. That is certainly a reference you can take out of that.
Okay.
So Mr. Dapperton's a BFF of Mr. Jim. He's watched our show a few times, and he's decided to let us do some live streaming on his show to help get some new viewers. And we're very thankful for that. So, of course, he does have a PayPal thing to go put money into. So please put some money in the cup of our landlord, who's doing a good job of helping us out.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to start off our show with a little bit of a dramatic reading of a memorable movie moment. I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion. I watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the Tannhauser Gate. All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain. Time to die. So for those of you who didn't catch the news, Hollywood legend Rutger Hauer passed away. Come on, what are you doing, Pate Bin? Where we had a brief moment there where my Pate Bin was not working properly. Blade Runner director Ridley Scott remembers gentle giant Rutger Hauer. This is a very experimental live streaming show. So we handle things, we make little inside jokes when we're having boomer moments and technical difficulties.
And we'll get into a very boomer moment in this next piece, but for now,
Yes,
we'll
we will.
talk about Rutger.
Blade Runner director Ridley Scott remembers gentle giant Rutger Hauer. Rogue replicant Roy Beatty, played by the late Rutger Hauer, was one of the most iconic characters not just in science fiction films, but in modern cinema history. Hollywood legend Ridley Scott directed Rutger Hauer in the role in 1982's Blade Runner, which starred a still-on-the-rise Harrison Ford as Richard Deckard. In honor of the late Dutch actor's passing, Scott released the following statement. Rutger was a gentle giant. I don't know who was more nervous on that first morning of the first day on set in 1982. I think the film is called Blade Runner. We helped each other through the entire process because it was very challenging. I will miss him. Hauer's career spanned 5 decades with over 150 credits to his name in TV and film. He was a very versatile character actor, playing whatever was required of him, whether a blockbuster like Batman Begins and Sin City or a cult classic like Hobo with a Shotgun or Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Blade Runner, based on Philip K. Dick's Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, finds Ford's Deckard hunting replicants who are deemed threats to society set in dystopian Los Angeles built by the Tyrell Corporation. Replicants are android synthetic humans with limited autonomy to coexist and serve humanity. They also don't have their own internal monologue or voice, and they just keep saying Orange Man bad for some reason. Despite being designed with a limited lifespan, a group of rogue replicants led by Hauer's baddie became self-aware and go on beyond their programming. So, Jim, what would you like to say about silver screen legend Rutger Hauer, a man who was so top notch that he was willing to insult the unnecessary sequel of the movie by saying, this is kind of trash?
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the sequel. Um,
I did too, but it
it
was
was
kind of a
unnecessary.
trashy. It was kind of a trashy, unnecessary sequel.
Yeah, but it was good. It was probably one of the better movies that came out that year. What year did it come out? 16, 17?
Last year,
It was last year.
yeah,
Wow.
I think it was last year.
It was the same year that Logan came out. I remember. Um,
Yeah.
on one hand, we already kind of saw him die in Batman
Hmm.
Begins. Was it Batman Begins? Yeah, where he got fired.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm pressing F in the chat, so press F to pay your respects.
Mm.
Yeah, he indeed was a legend.
So
Yeah,
we're going from one legend to another.
yeah. See,
Doom one.
I was kind of a latecomer when it comes to Blade Runner. It wasn't.
Mhm.
I want to say like 2015. A friend was like, "Hey, you have to watch Blade Runner." I was like, "Yeah, I'll get around to doing it."
So
And he
which
just
cut
kept
did you
pounding.
save?
Well, he insisted that I watch like one of the very select few cuts that he deemed appropriate, and I ended up watching the one that came out right before the final cut. Well, not right before it, but the one that came before it, before the final cut.
Okay.
So it had no monologue. He was like, "Yeah, don't watch the theatrical version. Watch this one. It's a lot better." And then I ended up watching the theatrical cut later, and I was like, "Yeah, Harrison Ford's narration was pretty bad." But he didn't want to do it. To be fair, it
Yeah,
was,
exactly.
yeah, it was
Exactly.
it was studio interference, but yeah, it was a great movie. I don't know if it's particularly my kind of movie so much, which is kind of weird because we're going to get another movie that's sort of like that, but not quite. And
Yeah.
I did like that one, so yeah.
So, moving along to another legend, Doom 1, 2, and 3 are launching today on Switch, PS4, and Xbox One. But when Jim and I were talking about this story earlier, he said it doesn't really
Doom
matter
was
to
a
him
great game.
because it wasn't coming out on Mario
Get
Maker.
off my lawn.
Update as expected, Bethesda confirmed the Switch version of Doom, Doom 2, and Doom 3 during the QuakeCon stream. That they also announced that all three games are coming to the PS4 and Xbox One, also known as the Xbone, with Doom and Doom 2 coming to iOS and Android platforms too. Doom and Doom 2 are $4.99, £3.99, and Doom 3 is $9.99, £7.99.
You can skip 3. I think 3 was more kind of like a hey, look at all the things we can do with the GeForce 3, which I remember when that came out, that was a huge deal, and I bought a computer just for the GeForce 3. And then I saw the game and I was like, this is a beautiful game, but it looks bad. And it was bad. So just get the first two games, $10, Doom and Doom 2. Those were great
Yeah,
games. Where's my
those were
sips?
classics. And Doom is a classic
Doom was a
memeable
great
thing.
game.
Yeah. So we were talking a little bit about news from the UK, and do you remember that lady who came out with the chair to prevent manspreading?
No, but I'm sure you're going to explain it to me.
So there was a British lady in design college who got a grant for making an anti-manspreading chair, which was designed to force a man to sit with their legs closed and to force a woman to sit with her legs open and have a brick in front of her crotch. Well, this being a thing, the good folks in the UK decided that they were going to try it out a little bit, and it made the local news. And news host tries feminist student's anti-manspreading chair, nearly gets his balls crushed.
Wait a minute. Are you saying that there's a biological reason for for why men have their legs kind of sitting out, and why men and women cross their legs differently?
Among many reasons. Among many reasons. Also, sometimes depending on the cut of your clothing, your balls get hotter, and that becomes very uncomfortable. British news host tried out a feminist student's anti-manspreading chair and found the experience to be rather painful. Layla Laurel, 23, made international headlines earlier this month after she won a national prize for designing chairs that force men to sit with their legs closed. Note, these chairs, if you reverse them, allow a man to be forced to sit with his legs open. Because, again, men would never turn chairs around and sit in them backwards. That would never happen. Thereby preventing the practice commonly known as manspreading. Laurel, a 2019 graduate of the University of Brighton, won the Bellman Award in mid-July for her work entitled A Solution for Manspreading. During an interview segment aired this week on the British network Sky News, Laurel expounded on her feminist beliefs in regards to manspreading. I think occasionally it's a microaggression. I've heard stories from women where it turns into something that's far more aggressive, Laurel added. So, Jim, is she talking about people just like rubbing their crotch while it's open to women on a train?
I don't think. I don't know. I'm
I
watching
mean,
the video
is
now.
is she imagining porn?
Apparently, this is a terrible green screen, by the way.
Yes, it is. There's a myriad of problems around it, she said. At one point, Sky News male host took turns sitting in Laurel's anti-man-spreading chair. Oh dear, my voice nearly raised by about an octave there, one host joked as he sat in the seat, and then suggested cutting away so he could adjust himself. I didn't want any more children anyway, he said. So, of course, manspreading is stupid. We all know this. This is not a real.
The concept of manspreading is stupid. People actually sitting that way serves a purpose.
Yes.
Yeah.
But to be clear. But yeah, this is not a effective use of people's time. But I just wanted to show that on a live television demonstration, people were made physically uncomfortable by their invention. That's perhaps a thing saying, hey, maybe this is a design flaw that I should fix in my product. I don't know. Maybe we're reading too much into this, Jim, using man logic and trying to man oppress her.
Yeah, we're mansplaining now.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. We should just allow her to speak her truth about why it's important to crush people's balls.
Yeah. Because her truth is more important than, just
physical comfort.
Just truth.
So while there are people like this who are trying to modify the culture through oppressing people physically, there's all these little things that happen, and it's not always straight obvious politics where people start to get taken care of and blocked by weirdos on the internet. So got a Twitter post here that's talking about a dude who got banned from r/food, and he liked to post pictures of food made with his dog in the picture, not literally cooking his dog. But as you see here, the first picture.
Wow, that's racist. I can't believe you just insinuated that.
Well, wait, we're going to get back to that in a minute. So here we have some delicious French toast waffles with strawberries and bananas, and there's his dog looking at it longingly.
Bro.
And if we go down here...
Carbs, bro. Bro, carbs. It's too many carbs.
Yeah. So if we go down here, we see the dog looking at various other food he cooked, and also here's the dog with a small child with the food he cooked. Now, I want you to take a look at that small child. Does that small child have a certain racial or ethnic appearance?
Looks Asian.
She does look Asian. Also,
like some kind of Asian.
Like some kind of Asian, exactly. When he made a post titled Korean Barbecue and posted the picture of Korean barbecue with his dog just like normal. But was it normal? I hear you ask. No, it wasn't normal. This was his first popular post making it to the front of the page. Mods banned him, saying that he photoshopped his dog into the images. He didn't, he explained. He didn't. They unbanned him, and then everything was well and good, right? Nope. Here's another picture of his dog looking at delicious food. A few hours later, he was banned again, permanently this time, for being naive and insensitive to the Korean dog meat implication. And to top it all off, the poster himself is Korean. You see here the little Asian kid there.
So that was the some kind of Asian. We figured out the kind of Asian.
No afterwards, r/food added this rule to justify their ban. So it wasn't even in their rules. They slipped it in after the ban to say, look, you're banned for life, and here's the rule that justifies it that came out afterwards. Now, if you want to see more of his pictures, his Twitter is @dogmeatsfood, and there's various pictures of his dog looking at delicious food. And there's even more of it here in this little Twitter thread. So, Jim, what do you think about people doing things for Hot Pockets on Reddit again?
For Hot Pockets? I must be familiar with this joke.
That's a reference to when 4chan and 8chan split.
Oh, is that Hot Wheels joke? And I'm not getting
That was. Well, no, the moderators on 4chan said they did it for Hot Pockets.
Oh, I see.
So what do you think about this?
Well, this is clearly racist against Korean people. I mean, even though he is Korean, it's racist against. He just doesn't understand his own abuse that he's inflicting upon his fellow race. Obviously,
even though they do actually eat dog in Korea and other parts of the world, and they think it's weird we don't eat dog.
Mm-hmm.
So, also to get into something a little weird and strange.
By the way, I would buy a beer if it was advertised with the can on the dog's head, looking at the beer in the glass. I would buy this.
That would be a good advertisement for beer. I agree.
Stone Brewing Marketing. Are you listening? There you go.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking a little bit about some Marvel Comics news, and we're going to go into a little dive about that. But you remember how they made this great big deal that James Gunn was coming back to the MCU after being horribly disgraced for making some edgy boy jokes about pedophilia and other commentary?
Yeah, back when Twitter was for edgy jokes and commentary.
Back when Twitter was for edgy jokes. And he worked for Troma Pictures, which was all about making edgy film. Mm-hmm. Rumor, James Gunn to return to DC after Guardians of the Galaxy 3, plus Suicide Squad details. The word from San Diego Comic-Con is Warner Brothers is very happy with James Gunn and his plans for Suicide Squad. Moreover, the two parties' working relationships will continue to grow once the director's schedule is free after Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Which probably means he's going to be tag teaming Marvel and DC, which I think might actually be good for both franchises, having a stable director. A source close to Cosmic Book News said...
How unstable is Zack Snyder?
Yeah.
Is that too soon?
Yeah. A source very close to Cosmic Book News said Gunn is a huge DC fan, even more so than Marvel. That he has lots of ideas about what to do with DC characters and has some wild plans for DC after Guardians 3. Despite making his name with Marvel characters, Gunn's preference for DC is no surprise. Not long ago, he admitted to owning the entire John Ostrander Suicide Squad run. In his last big theatrical release, Brightburn was an inversion of the premise behind Superman, except it was his brother's movie, and he just said, hey, how about I give you the money to make this movie and use my name to help you sell it? And, I mean, he makes profit off that, obviously, but, it's not really his release, if we want to be super duper frank. James Gunn signed on to do a DC movie after he was briefly let go from Marvel by Disney last summer. Work started with writing the new Suicide Squad, but the feeling was that he would direct as well, which he is. His friend actor Michael Rooker was one of the first to publicly say James Gunn would pull double duty. Soon after he joined up with Warner Brothers for the Suicide Squad, Gunn was rehired to finish his trilogy at Marvel, and Kevin Feige revealed that they weren't looking for a replacement. If all goes well, he could end up working for both sides. So what do you think about the future of superhero movies with Mr. James Gunn?
I'm just glad that Suicide Squad isn't going to suck finally. That's going to be nice. Can he reissue his own cut of the first one?
Well, no, that was part of the problem with the first one, is they kept making cuts, and then they decided to mix the cuts together, and it was like, oh.
Well, why don't you just give him the raw footage and have him recut it? I'm sure he can do a better job.
That we kind of have to let that one go.
Okay. Can we reintroduce the characters, because I couldn't be bothered to watch this movie.
Well, I mean, they are going to have Margot Robbie there because people think she's hot, especially when she's dressed up as a slutty clown girl.
But didn't Marilyn Manson kill her?
No.
Oh.
Because she's going to be in her own movie where she and a bunch of chicks are going to be talking about how she got freed from the Joker. And she's not going to be dressing up as a sexy slutty clown girl in that movie.
Did I say Marilyn Manson? Oh, jeez.
You said Marilyn Manson, but you were thinking Charles Manson.
Same thing.
So, we're going to talk a little bit about Marvel movies and what was revealed at Comic-Con. Now, there's a lot of things that are in Comic-Con. We're going to talk a little bit about some stories, but we're going to more or less use those stories as branching off points to talk about some of the broader stuff going on with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, Shang-Chi and Thor Love and Thunder, which is a kind of fun title but also kind of terrible, are both going to be filming in Sydney, Australia, back to back.
Wait. Does this mean the movie will be upside down?
Maybe it means it'll be upside down. I mean, I think Thor: Love and Thunder is a little upside down as it stands.
Okay.
Marvel Studios is about to spend a lot of time down under, as it's been announced. They've been shooting Thor: Love and Thunder and Shang-Chi: The Legend of the Ten Rings in Australia. The movies are expected to shoot back to back at Fox Studio Lot, now owned by Disney. In Sydney, with Shang-Chi set to kick things off before Thor 4, the latter of which is expected to inject as much as 124 million, or Australia 178 million, into the local economy. So, of course, the big thing about Thor 4 is they're going with the Jane Foster run on Thor. So, Jim, I know this is completely alien to you.
Yeah, explain it to me like I'm 5, because I am 5 when it comes to comics.
So, they decided in Marvel that Thor wasn't selling well, even though he was connected to a movie series that also wasn't selling well. They wanted to shake up Thor. So the guy in charge at the time, Jason Aaron, decided that Thor was going to lose his hammer, which was not a new thing. There was going to be a new Thor, which wasn't a new thing. But they decided they were going to bring out Thor's girlfriend from the 60s and 70s, Jane Foster, and have her become the new Thor. But the problem is Jane thought Jane had cancer. So Marvel has a unwritten, possibly written rule when it comes to cancer. If cancer is involved in a story, you can't use magic, you can't use superpowers, and you can't use super science to cure it. Like, Deadpool is a walking, talking pile of cancer. Deadpool's cancer has never really been cured. Why? Because they don't want to say, oh, well, in this magical fantasy world, cancer's not a problem. Because they feel that would be disrespectful to people who have cancer. So they wanted to focus on her struggle with cancer and having her be a cancer survivor to show that's what makes her worthy as a warrior and a hero. And do that, they had to make Thor not worthy. But they didn't tell anybody why Thor wasn't worthy for a couple of years, and they also rebooted comics continuity. Though the reboot actually has kind of gotten muddy and more confusing. So Thor was made unworthy because he realized the gods suck, and the rules and structures of the gods suck, and they reinforce harmful status quo into the reality. But Jane Foster as Thor was fine because she was reinforcing those stereotypes by making them all women.
But
that's what they decided narratively to do. And they also decided, because, again, they're making intelligent decisions, that Jane Foster is not Lady or Thordis, or like anybody else who had gotten the hammer of Thor, that they actually had their own name. She herself was Thor. That Thor was no longer a name, it was a title, or a mantle. So Taika Waititi has decided he's going to base his movie around that. And a lot of people who remember a couple of years ago when this comic book run happened, they're like going, really? You really want to do that? Now, there's debate as to how well it actually sold, because what we believed back then was that there was hard and fast statistics about comic book sales. What we all have since learned is that comic book sales are a giant pile of lies. So let's say you're Marvel Comics, Jim, and let's say you want to sell 100,000 copies of a comic book. How do you do it?
tell them it's flying off the shelves and they should get it before they disappear.
Wrong.
Well,
you just send 100,000 copies of your comic book to various comic book stores, and they have to pay for it.
Oh, and if they don't, then they won't be able to sell Marvel comics.
In part, but it's distributed through Diamond, and Diamond doesn't get no ship. It's like, oh, well, you have to pay for it. And if they accidentally send you somebody else's order, it's like, oh, you have to pay to ship their order to them. So we don't really know how well the Jane Foster run on Thor actually sold. Further complicating matters is there's a thing called sell-through. So that $100,000 that goes to shops of comic books, that's not what people buy. On a popular comic book, they maybe buy half of that. So, like the Batman that's selling 150,000 out there, that's actually selling more like 75,000. And there are other things that make comic book sales more confusing. Like there are more libraries now, and libraries have been investing heavily in getting comic book sections. So we don't know if this was popular or not.
Taxpayer money well spent, I guess.
Exactly. Now, so Thor: Love and Thunder is going to be based around that. They also said Valkyrie, who's now Queen of Asgard, as part of the ending of Avengers Endgame. And
Spoiler.
Well, no, this isn't a spoiler because the Russo brothers said at this point in time, if you haven't seen it, that's on you.
Okay.
We will, however, have a spoiler point in the show a little later. And we will give you time, especially if you're somebody who's downloaded this, to stop your car, hit pause, or whatever you need to do if you're driving, because there's going to be some spoilers because the whole thing with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, you can't really talk about it too much without...
Yeah. But that's not going to be for a while, so don't worry. Not just yet.
Exactly.
We'll give you ample time.
Exactly. Now, Shang-Chi was
but
originally...
I will say, I don't know, because Taika Waititi, in my opinion, has done no wrong yet. I really doubt that he's going to mess this up.
Although he's got a really weird movie coming out in like November, I think, or October.
Yeah, but you know what we do in the shadows. When I first saw that, I was like, "This looks retarded," and then I watched it after I saw Thor Ragnarok and how good it was. I was like, "I'll give this one a shot." Man, I was disappointed that I didn't watch that earlier. I love that movie. It's the only vampire movie that I've seen in a long time that was actually good. It's been a while.
So Shang-Chi was originally just Bruce Lee. Imagine if Bruce Lee was a comic book character and his dad was Fu Manchu. That's Shang-Chi, but they have since incorporated him with another comic book character from China called the Collective Man, whose power was he could make a whole bunch of clones of himself, and those clones could distribute out his power and all sorts of other weird stuff.
Oh.
So
did we see a clone in Once Upon a Hollywood, or was that the real deal?
Well, that wasn't the real Bruce Lee, obviously, but that was just a regular Bruce Lee actor. No, he died a while ago.
He's dead?
Yes, he's dead.
Oh.
Now, we're gonna talk a little bit more about Shang-Chi here in a minute, but next we're gonna talk about the Eternals, which is going to be a little bit esoteric, and I'm actually kind of impressed they're making this movie. I'm not talking about the Doctor Strange movie, because that seems pretty basic and pretty standard. So the Eternals, all right, do you remember Chariot of the Gods, Jim? No. So that's a book from the 70s. So this is a comic book that relies on people having as a point of reference a cultural touchstone from the UFO community of the 60s and 70s.
Wow.
Exactly.
I hope there's going to be some exposition explaining this.
Well, no. Here's the thing: they've already covered some of that in other movies already. So there's a race of beings called the Celestials, and that place where they went to in Guardians of the Galaxy, and they also went to an Infinity War that's like nowhere. That's in the head of a Celestial, and they also reference the Celestials in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. They were an advanced race of aliens that just went around doing advanced genetic experiments on creatures because they could. And they basically made two races of beings, one the Eternals, and the other the Deviants here on Earth. I'm actually kind of impressed because we've not seen anything about the Deviants yet. And I don't know.
Did you see footage from Pride?
But on a more serious note, I don't think that they're actually going to... They're going to do something to make the Deviants thing not kick out immediately with that. But they have race and gender swapped multiple characters going into this Eternals movie. Now, like, for 90% of the people in the world, it's going to be like they're not even going to be aware of it. So they have Makari, who is a character that was based off of Mercury, is now being played by a woman of color who's deaf. They have Ajax, who's based off of the Greek mythological figure Ajax, who's played by Salma Hayek for some reason. Um, yeah, we have
Serendipity?
Gilgamesh. No, and we have a
Wow, you
character that
didn't
was
get that
supposed,
reference. Okay, carry on.
and we have a character that was based off of a small boy. That'll be played by a small girl, and we have some Asian dude playing a dude who's supposed to be Mesopotamian.
Oh, yeah, there they are.
So, so there's a whole lot of race swapping this thing. So here's my question to you: if it's a property that's so utterly obscure, do you think race swapping actually matters?
I don't know. I think when people have an issue with it, and when I have an issue with it, it's when they're kind of hallmarks of culture, like James Bond,
Mm.
like Annie. Uh, but when it comes to things like, you know, The Little Mermaid, it's like, yeah, but they're a mermaid, so who cares? And it's a Disney remake, so on top of that, who cares?
And the original Disney movie's not as good as the Soviet animated version of the Little Mermaid.
Is it? Is it
No, the
better?
Soviet version is so much better because it's actually closer to the book, and
Oh, she
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 just
dies.
effing dies. Yeah, she just
Yeah.
effing dies in the Soviet version. It's great.
Hmm.
It's the kind of movie we need to be showing our children when we're showing them these sorts of things.
Yeah.
And
I'm
now,
waiting for the
kind
live
of,
action remake of Kimba. I mean Simba. I mean Lion King.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, I did.
It,
They already did that.
they already did that. It did not go out well.
Oh,
So last but not least, we're going to go back to Shang-Chi. So the big gambit is for Marvel here is they
was
want
that a
this to
pun?
be. No, that was not a pun.
Okay.
So the big gambit for Marvel is here is they want this to be their big China movie. They not only want it to be a movie that galvanizes Asian Americans like Black Panther did for Black people, and like they tried to with Captain Marvel but weren't really successful with. They also want it to be a big movie that makes China excited. China is already unhappy with it. Marvel's Shang-Chi casting ignites racism debate in China. I mean, why? Why? How surprising. So, veteran actor who plays the Mandarin, 57, is the villain of the film, and he is a popular film idol in China. And the guy who's playing Shang-Chi is some Canadian actor. And he's a Canadian Asian. So, first of all, the Mandarin, who was originally an Iron Man character that they're now appropriating over here, was basically a way to put a popular coat of paint on Fu Manchu, which folks in the Asian world tend to see as a little bit racist. But the Mandarin at least had some stuff going on with him. He wanted to restore the Great Mongolian Empire. He tamed aliens, stuff like that. And it's also a language in China, so people in China are insulted about that now. And they're already talking about boycotting Shang-Chi. And they also view this as problematic because a Chinese Canadian is playing the hero and he has to defeat the bad and wicked Chinese person. And
It seems like another Tropic Thunder type thing, where everybody was getting mad about the blackface, and he's like, no, 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 no. Don't judge it yet. You have to wait until you find out what the movie's about first. Is that what's kind of happening here?
well, we're also dealing with very big scale politics. So, do you think the Chinese government, which produces its own movies, wants Disney to have a franchise designed to directly beat into the hearts of the Chinese people?
I don't know. I don't know much about the Chinese
They're
government.
also they're also pushing back against Mulan's live action now.
Okay. Well,
But at least in that
I'm
case,
happy for that, but not because of any kind of racial reasons. Just because.
right? But at least in the case of the Mulan one, they have better Chinese versions, far better Chinese versions of the same exact story. But the thing is that the Chinese government is all about their movies as a form of cultural soft power among the broad Chinese diaspora. So they don't want Disney to come in chipping into their backyard. So, of course, there's all sorts of negative social media traffic going on in China. So, What do you think about the deep intricacies of international movie politics?
I'm just wondering if they're going to try to make this movie for a Western audience. If China's not going to let any bit of it in, are they going to block it?
Well, they could do all sorts of things short of blocking, because again, Disney Marvel movies are very popular in China. So it's kind of funny how you were talking about the Little Mermaid here. So
It's almost like I was foreshadowing, almost.
I know, right? And usually, I try to be better, but usually the show prep is posted in a thing on our Discord, which we'll post a link to a little later. And Jim and I just look at it, but it's not finalized until like an hour before the show. And we're this level professionals, we could just make it up on the fly. So Rainbow Squid Inc., who's a black woman who's trying to break into the animation industry, has caught some saltiness going on about the Little Mermaid. So let this sink in before stupid racists being upset that their mayo skin mermaid is black. You're racist for looking at her skin color. This is diversity. Ew, Eric is white. This is so problematic now. This isn't diversity. And this is from a little website called... So somebody from Nerd People of Color's Twitter said, the premise of Little Mermaid is now a black woman gives up her voice to a white woman, all for the love of the white man. Which is, if you remember, I told you when they said they were going to cast a black lady as Little Mermaid, like that was, and that they were going to have a white woman playing Ursula, that's a bad sign. And now you got to trade your blackness to a white woman to get the white man. And this is why you don't do woke stunt casting. Mm-hmm. Because just when you think we fix this one thing, they're going to be pissy about something else. Because these are bad people who deal in bad faith.
Yeah. And never try to appease to these people. Never try to make amends to these people. Or
never make amends to them.
No. Nope.
Never make a deal with them.
Never apologize to them.
Never apologize to them because they clearly don't deserve it.
It reminds me, I did a video a while back with this guy who's since deleted his channel, Good Riddance, by the name of Garrett. I did some video because someone made a video that I disagreed with regarding trans things, and it was very non-controversial except for some of the language that I was using, just for whatever. But he felt it necessary to correct me, and it was just over the most minutia thing and ever. And I was like, dude, like, at the end of the day, like, it wasn't anti-trans. I was making a statement against someone who was. Why are you throwing shade at this? Like, kick rocks. I have nothing to say to you. I'm not going to apologize to you.
Now, since we've discovered all these people have problems with interracial dating now, which is, of course, we've been told is horrible racism, we're finding more people, especially older people, who are uncomfortably racist, like apparently Bette Midler. Mm. Bette Midler accused of racism over tweet about African-American Trump supporters. Actress Bette Midler has been slammed for a tweet calling African-American supporters of Trump black ground. The missive she sent out Wednesday morning includes a photo of a handful of African-American men in the background of a Trump re-election rally and asks how much they were paid to be there.
Yeah, and I retweeted this asking, imagine being this person.
Exactly.
Seriously, imagine being this person.
Look, they're African-American men in the shot. How much do they pay them to be there? Black ground. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about politics. I've actually worked in a prior life as a Republican political operative. I've also been in Republican volunteer organizations. I'm one of those libertarian Republican people. And Jim and I actually met through connections through the Free State movement. We're both mutual acquaintances of Ian Bernard, and I'm indirectly responsible for Ian Bernard.
Well, he goes by Ian. He goes to Ian Freeman now.
I was about to say, AKA Ian Freeman,
because a lot of people are like, Ian who? Yeah,
exactly.
Show host of the Free Talk Live for those of you.
Oh, Free Talk Live.
Yeah. I'm not sure how well connected the YouTube libertarian movement is to like the podcast and radio community, because I notice a lot of disconnect. Sometimes I'll talk to some of them and I'll be like, oh yeah, like I was listening to Free Talk Live. Like, what's that? What do you mean you don't know what Free Talk Live is?
Yeah.
So I noticed there is a little bit of a disconnect.
So if you run a Republican campaign and there's a group of minorities there, and the candidate has problems with the minorities, put those minority people close as possible to the candidate where there's going to be a picture. So if there were just random black people showing up at a Trump event, somebody was going to herd them all together so they would be in the background so people could see all these black supporters of Trump as Trump is applauding on the stage. These are the thoughts of people. What was that classic George Carlin thing about 100 being the average intelligence?
Right.
Imagine half.
Yeah. So talk to your average person and realize how stupid they are, and then imagine that half of the world's population are even dumber than that.
Yeah, and so this sort of thought is a thing about being stupid.
Yeah.
Twitter pundits immediately sees a Midler's tweet calling it racist and really sick for suggesting that black Trump supporters couldn't make their own political opinions. She thinks black men can't think for themselves but are willing to be bribed. Bette Midler is saying this is all about the Benjamins for black men. She is the definition of a racist. Your statement is so condescending and racist. So what do you think? Is her statement racist or was she just stupid?
She's just stupid. I'm pretty sure there might be a tinge of that, like, oh, they don't know. Kind of that whole condescending thing about, like, oh, look at all these poor Southerners voting Republican. They're voting against their own best interests. It's like, fuck you.
And what's great about that is
even though I'm not Republican or Southern.
Here's a fun thing. Historians have actually gone back. The Southern strategy was not actually that influential. Southerners were becoming more and more Republican going all the way back to World War I. They were delayed in the progress by a little thing you might have heard of called the Great Depression. And the Civil Rights Movement delayed it a little further. But it was a long-term, 100-year-plus trend. And what Dr. Oden said is also a good point, is they also race-swapped the Ancient One to appeal to Chinese sensibilities as well. Because the Ancient One was originally Tibetan, so they have a multicultural monastery in the middle of Tibet with all sorts of people of different races and cultures in magic. So we're going to talk a little bit about a little show called Star Trek Discovery, or colloquially known as STD. So I don't know how into Star Trek you are, so I'm going to give you all a little primer. So there are two companies that split apart. They were both once known as Viacom. One went to be called CBS, the other went to be called Paramount. Now Viacom owned Star Trek, but they decided, for some dumb reason, to split the rights of Star Trek into two companies. CBS retained the rights to classic Star Trek, and Paramount retained the rights to movie Star Trek.
Calvin?
But Paramount...
Is it just Calvin or no?
Just Calvin?
I mean, just like the Calvin timeline? So, I mean,
the
movie timeline?
We're setting up a little bit about that.
Okay.
About why that happened.
Okay.
So, the movies couldn't make new movies. They could make continuations of the movies, but they wanted to make brand new movies because reboots were popular. So they hired J.J. Abrams. They got a special licensing deal with CBS to make the Calvin timeline. Then CBS decided they wanted to launch a little thing known as CBS All Access, which is a streaming service, because, of course, every TV network needs its own streaming service that we need to all pay $5.99 for. And when we're complaining about $250 cable bills, it's now going to cost you $450 to get all the streaming services you need for your TV. And then they say, oh no, we're going to have a thing that's going to be $250 to cover all your streaming services. It's called cable again. But but Paramount and CBS are going to merge back together. And just as that happens, Star Trek Discovery cast talks about going beyond Voyager and canon in Season 3. Mysteriously, as these two corporate partners are merging back together, and so the ownership of Star Trek will be whole, we're not going to be doing weird things about weird separate timelines and stuff like that. Kind of strange. Following the Star Trek Universe panel at Comic-Con, cast from Star Trek Discovery portion and Star Trek Short Treks portion did a mini media tour at SDCC, taking time for a video sit-down with the Entertainment Weekly, Entertainment Tonight, and Los Angeles Times, like we did for the Picard show. We have rounded up the highlights of what they reveal about the new season. So also, Star Trek Discovery was accused of stealing most of its plot from a video game on Steam called Tardigrades. There's currently a lawsuit ongoing over that. And the person who created Star Trek Discovery pitched the idea more or less for the Picard series It was registered with the Writers Guild of America, and they made it, and it's up in the air as to whether he's going to be a producing credit on that. But more on that in a moment. A future and a world never seen before, but finally beyond Voyager. The big event at the end of season 2 finale was when the crew of the USS Discovery went through a wormhole into a far future. Show Sonequa Martin Green spoke to the LA Times about this opportunity for the show, which just began production on season 3. The beauty of going into the future, boldly I might add, is that everything is new. Everything you'll see will be new. We were able to shoot in Iceland for the first time, for the first episode of the season, and you're going to see a world we've never seen before. We're not in Terracilium. We did not end there like we planned, so now we have to figure out where we are, who we are, and when we are. At this point, it's very entertaining to be able to build canon moment to moment. So a big problem with Star Trek Discovery is
that it's terrible.
Is it terrible? They also didn't understand what canon was, so they put the show into the future so it can add to new canon. But in the prior arrangement between CBS and Paramount, nobody could add to the new canon because that would mean you'd have to renegotiate licenses with all of the license holders for the licensed merchandise. So they're now we're 1,000 years in the future, beyond normal Star Trek timeline, and they're going to be exhilarating because we get to build this new world. Where are we, and who are we now? Which, if you don't know, was a little plot point behind a little show you might have heard of called Andromeda, where Kevin Sorbo played basically Captain Kirk, waking up from cryogenic slumber on the Enterprise, shot through into the future after the Federation collapsed. So they're ripping off another Gene Roddenberry property to talk about this. So what do you think about the future of dishonest Star Trek on dishonest streaming services?
Look, I don't care what they do, but I have something that if they do this, I'd be all for it. And it's really simple. I don't know if they'll pick up on this. I know they're probably not listening, but maybe on Tapperton's channel, they might give it a listen. But are you ready for this? Mm-hmm. How about they make a good show? And then they can do whatever they want, so long as it's good.
Look, we can't have a good show because a good show won't allow us to get woke brownie points, Jim.
But it needs to be good, or otherwise people won't watch it.
Well, I mean, you also can make good shows and nobody will watch.
I mean, it's on CBS All Access, so you have to pay to watch it. So you have to make it good to get people to come and pay. If no one's paying, and no one is paying, then what's the point of making a woke show that no one's going to see?
Well, part of the way they've been doing that is by tricking Amazon, Netflix, and paying for most of the show.
Oh. Because I think the only person that still watches it is Steve Shives.
Oof. That's it's not a good look there for Steve.
And nobody knows what he's saying about it because they're all blocked. Seriously, that dude's got more blocks in Minecraft.
So now, did you watch Star Trek Voyager or any of the Star Trek?
Yeah. See, I've never got into Star Trek. Shoot me. It wasn't until the reboots that I was like, oh, maybe I can give this thing a try. And I started watching The Next Generation, and I was like, this is actually a good show. I think the issue with me really was it was on at the same time that The Simpsons were on.
Mm-hmm.
And this was back in the day where you only had one TV in the house.
And there was no such a thing as a DVR.
Yeah, and it was just like, well, sorry, Jim, that you want to watch The Simpsons, but The Next Generation is on, so we're going to watch that. And I'm the parent of this household, so what I say goes.
And you said, oh yeah, when I become the parent of my own house, I'll just spend money on video game machines.
Yeah, and then
now you're living your dream, Jim.
And I can watch The Simpsons whenever I want, which is none now that season 8 is over.
So Star Trek Voyager has gotten a little bit of a new view. It's very positive, even though there's still a lot of fans that are critical about it. But Kate Mulgrew has decided to use this renaissance for her performance as Captain Janeway, who is terrible and deserved to be hung and not deserved to be promoted to an admiral. Picard. Star Trek Voyager's Kate Mulgrew claims Gene Roddenberry and Star Trek the original series are extremely misogynist. Kate Mulgrew, who played the first female Star Trek captain in Captain Catherine Janeway in Star Trek Voyager, who actually wasn't the first Star Trek female captain, but that's neither here nor there, claims Star Trek, the original series, is extremely misogynist. In an interview with the Radio Times while promoting her upcoming documentary series titled The Space Race, Mulgrew responded to a question regarding the number of fans discontent with Star Trek Discovery. Questions note that some people claim to dislike Discovery has a misogynist edge to the vitriol. Mulgrew responded to the question by not only stating that the original series was extremely misogynist, but that Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry was too. She even lumped in Star Trek The Next Generation as it followed Jean-Luc Picard. I don't think you should be surprised by that. Did you watch the original series? It was extremely misogynist. That's what it was for years, and Picard followed that to a certain extent. Roddenberry himself was that way. We're simply going to have to change this sensibility, this ideology, and we are, but it's like moving granite. It takes a long time. We're not a society that has endorsed females as equal to males on television. So, Jim, do you know who was supposed to be the captain in the original pilot and Gene fought for, but the network said no?
It was a female, wasn't it?
It was. Not only a female, a woman he later marries.
Yeah, I knew that, the original series, that was like one of the first times that we saw, like, this was in the 60s. So you had like high-ranking female officers who were also black. This was revolutionary. And on top of that, you can tell that they wanted Spock and her to be an item, but they couldn't really do that because that was still too much of a taboo for TV at the time. But they sort of alluded to it anyway.
So that's the thing that these horrible, dishonest people continue to perpetrate is we have to retroactively apply our moralities and ethics and sensibilities. Mm-hmm. We can't say Gene Roddenberry did a whole lot of things that were good because he was able to push for a positive change. Gene had some areas where he had shortcomings, but you know what? He grew even as a person after that point, as we saw that in The Next Generation, where he had dudes with skirts. He made sure that there were multiple dudes with skirts on the show. But again, these people are horribly dishonest. Mm-hmm. However, earlier in the interview, Mulgrew would praise Roddenberry. Well, now you're talking about a visionary, and his name was Gene Roddenberry. He foresaw what others could not see. The fact that Star Trek emerged at the time is no accident. Roddenberry came into his own exactly at the time we recognized the value and possibility of material space travel. So let me kind of point this here and say, Jim, what do you think about famous people attacking the people who made them famous for temporary woke brownie points?
I don't know. I want it all to stop. And for them to make a good Star Trek show. That would be nice. Mm. But instead I have to look to, of all people, Seth MacFarlane to get a good Star Trek show.
But now we're going to have to wait. We're going to have to look at him on Hulu because it's not going to be on Fox anymore because Fox sold all their television production to. So everybody, listen, we have this great service called Hulu. So all the shows you like on Fox will be there now. I mean, sure, you have to pay for it now, but they'll all be there and it'll be great.
But you also have to pay for their other streaming service, which is coming out soon.
Well,
on top of that,
you don't have to do that yet. You don't have to do that.
That's what I need in my life, another streaming service. As if Amazon Prime wasn't bad enough.
Well, I mean, there's literally anything you could want on Amazon Prime.
And
also everything you can't.
Yeah, everything that I could want, but I don't. Well, to be fair, they have riff tracks. They have almost every riff tracks, which is amazing. But other than that, I can't find use for it. And the tech is gone, so I really can't find use in it.
Well, they actually have a new show that we're going to talk about in a little bit here. But before we go into our last article that we're going to be discussing here, didn't we all decide in the 90s that autoplay videos were a terrible thing and shouldn't happen? Don't people have phones with data? I mean, most people have an unlimited data package, but there's still people who don't.
Well, I don't know if you watched the last Blizzard Con, but apparently a lot of people didn't have phones.
Oh, that's right. People didn't have phones.
Yeah.
So, so we're coming up on the Watchmen TV series coming on HBO. It's going to be a giant clusterfuck. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Damon Lindelof to Watchmen creator Alan Moore, F you, I'm doing it anyway. Of course, that's really been the story of Alan Moore's career, is he comes up with something, he doesn't have absolute creative control, and the people who have absolute creative control say, F you, Alan Moore, we're doing it anyway.
Oh, God.
Watchmen's original creator, co-creator is more technically accurate, Alan Moore, is not thrilled about HBO's new adaptation, according to network president of programming Casey Bloys, but showrunner Damon Lindelof said he's moved full steam ahead with his message, F you, I'm doing it anyway. But Lindelof isn't trying to start a war with the legendary comic book writer and wizard and orgy enthusiast, Moore. When addressing the room of reporters at the summer edition of the Television Critics Association press tour Wednesday, Lindelof explained that Moore's decision to distance himself from the new adaptation of his graphic novel is an ongoing wrestling match. I don't think that I've made peace with it, he said. Alan Moore is a genius, in my opinion, the greatest comic book writer of the medium, and maybe the greatest writer of all time. I'm going to press X to down on both of those. There's a guy named Neil Gaiman who's pretty damn good too.
I'll just say that Alan Moore is the only comic book stuff that I'll read. I really don't like the format. I'm not bashing comics. It's just I don't like the format. But I'll deal with that format if it's Alan Moore. But the movies,
so will you deal with that format when my production of a comic book actually ends up getting finished and going to print?
Well, send me a copy. I'll read it anyway.
Yeah, and we're going to reference that on the show. So, I mean, hey, by the way, everybody, so that's another little thing for you to follow along with us about, because there's going to be a comic book getting discussed in the not too distant future. I don't think I made peace with it, blah, 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 he says. Despite Lindelof's personal overtures to explain what his new adaptation of graphic novel would be, Moore remains steadfast in his decision to separate himself from the project and won't consult on the series, a stance that he's taken for years on the material. Someone whose entire identity is based around a very complicated relationship with my dad, who I constantly need to prove myself to and never will. Alan Moore is now that certain to get Lindelof jokes. The wrestling match will continue. I do feel that the spirit of Alan Moore is a punk rock spirit, a rebellious spirit, and that if you would tell Alan Moore, a teenage Moore in 85 or 86, you're not allowed to do this because Superman's creator or Swamp Thing's creator doesn't want you to, he would say, F you, I'm doing it anyway. So I'm channeling the spirit of Alan Moore to tell Alan Moore, F you, I'm doing it anyway. Even though Alan Moore later realizes, oh wait, I was wrong for doing that. Oh. He then immediately followed up with, that's clickbait, guys. Clickbait. So, is it really clickbait if you tell the reporters in advance that's your clickbait line?
I guess.
Doesn't that mean that they're not really reporters, they're just stenographers?
Well, that's what journalism has become. It's either that or inserting unnecessary wokeness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Lindelof did promise, however, the original source material isn't being retconned or rewritten in his HBO version. We re-explore the past, but it's canon, he says. Everything that happened in those 12 issues could not be messed with. We're married to it. There's no rebooting it. Interestingly, there's a sequel to it in the comic books that's happened.
There was a sequel to Watchmen?
In the comic books that's happening as we speak right now. Oh. And it actually takes the narrative direction that Alan Moore did when he realized that deconstruction of comic books is bad. So it features Dr. Manhattan, who's come to the regular DC Comics universe. He's made some changes to it, and he realizes, wait, I'm a bad person. Wait, everybody in my universe were terrible and bad people, and these people here that I've been screwing with are good. But he had to manipulate them and get into their business because he had a vision of Superman punching him in the face and then he ceased to exist. So he immediately wanted to find out what's up with him. So it's called Doomsday Clock. It's running late pretty consistently, so you're better off to wait for the trade at this point when the trade comes out.
Yeah, I've not been a big fan of any of the film adaptations of Alan Moore's stuff. I don't have much hope for the TV show, but I will say I did like Watchmen. If you watch the 3.5 hour version that has the Black Freighter stuff in there and the newsstand kid and all the extra stuff, that was good.
Yes,
and I liked V for Vendetta until I read the comic book, and I was like, oh, they butchered that comic. They butchered that thing.
Yes.
Yeah, fuck that movie.
And we'll be talking a little bit more about the V for Vendetta show when it comes on HBO, because I do intend to watch it.
There's a show?
There's a show. It's going to be on HBO.
God help us.
And they have people in Rorschach masks going tick tock, talking about doomsday.
V for
And
Vendetta.
also,
Hold on. V for Vendetta.
no, not V for Vendetta. I meant
I was like, wait a minute.
Watch
Whoa,
that.
whoa, whoa! Wait a minute. This is news.
A V for Vendetta TV show that would be good.
No, no. They would Wachowski it.
This is true.
Yeah, they would
So
Wachowski it.
it's kind of interesting how we were.
It would
talking
be about
a
Orange
punk-
Man bad.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how we were talking about a punk rock aesthetic in Alan Moore's comic books and comic book movies. So, Jim, tell us a little bit about the musical band we're going to be talking about tonight.
Yeah, so this has been a thing because I've been a big fan of film, but you've been a bigger fan of film, you're a big fan of music, but I'm an even bigger fan of music, and so we thought, hey, since you're telling me more about film, I could tell you more about music, and we could do it on the show and make everybody a little bit happy. And so one of the albums that we're reviewing now, since we went to a really obscure, weird album last time, which was no, we did Run the Jewels, but the one before that was The Residents, which was bizarre for you and great.
That was a really bizarre Residents album.
Yeah, it was a more accessible stuff, but we'll get into the crazier stuff later.
Well, no, we actually went one step beyond accessible. It was kind of weird because we talked about doing the accessible Residents album. But I said, no, we need to go weirder than that.
No. They're more accessible, but there's even more accessible than that. We'll get into this super weird stuff later, but that was kind of okay. That's a different discussion. Anyways,
yes, it was very oppressive and annoying noise, but I could sense the musical artistry behind it.
We're gonna get even more annoying later on. Either way, we did Run the Jewels last time. Yeah, we almost did Gwar, but you were already familiar with Gwar. But another band that Mr. Dapperton's a huge fan of, other than Gwar, is the Misfits. And I think this is the better era, even though he'll disagree with me, with the Misfits, because I consider the Misfits dead after Glenn left. He was listening to Static Age today. Nice. Okay, so this is the Misfits, Static Age. This would have been their debut album had it been released at the time, but it wasn't released until another 20-some-odd years later, almost 20 years later.
That makes my feelings about the album more interesting.
Yeah. And this has some of the most iconic songs on there, which were released in various kind of compilations and EPs later on down the line. But probably when you tell people about the Misfits, the songs that are going to come to their head are things like, Last Caress, We Are 138, Angel F, Bullet. And of course, one of my favorite songs is Last Caress and Hybrid Moments. These are my favorite tracks off the album. But they're definitely a horror punk album. I don't know if you were ever familiar with horror punk until this came around. And
kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm familiar with punk, but I'm not like deep into the whole punk genre.
Oh, you didn't go to punk rock shows every week like I did? Punk and ska shows?
No.
Okay.
No, I didn't go to punk and ska shows like you did.
Yeah.
And the Misfits was always a, hey, I've seen this on TV
and
kind
shirts.
of band. Yeah, on shirts. Basically, anytime a TV or a movie wants to establish this is a punk rock person, it's the Misfits.
Yeah.
Or the Ramones. Or the Sex Pistols.
Occasionally, no effects.
Occasionally, no effects.
Occasionally, no effects.
So that was my familiarity with it. I've never actually listened to their work before today.
Mm-hmm. So, what did you think of Misfits, Static Age?
I enjoyed it. It's very early punk. It's kind of weird because it sounds so much like all sorts of early punk stuff. And then I realized, wait, they were so influential of a band, everybody kind of started to sound like them because they were all being stupid conformists.
Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely one of my favorite albums of them, though I tend to listen to more of their... there's two albums that came out that are just compilations of their kind of biggest stuff when Glenn Danzig was with the band. And that's... I don't remember. But it's called like Part 1 and 2. I think it's actually called Compilation 1 and 2, which I own on vinyl, which is great. But since we do albums, I figured I might as well grab this album because this has their most iconic songs that are on this that are in their discography. And then afterwards, Glenn left. With at the time was considered to be what's the word?
Irreconcilable differences.
Yeah, and recently they actually did a comeback tour, but for a while they were very angry with each other. They replaced him with Glenn Graves. Question mark? I don't know. After that, I just kind of considered the Misfits dead because they kind of played like weird kind of horror metal, which was very subpar. And Glenn went on to do a little band named Sam Hayen, which didn't get that popular, but his next band was really popular, a little band called Danzig, which their first album is. Michael Graves, there we go. Collection 1 and 2, that's the name of the album, Collection 1 and 2, and Michael Graves was the replacement singer. And then they have another singer after that, which I'm not too familiar with either. I think it's actually just Glenn, or not Glenn, the bass player, forget his name.
Have they actually done a reunion tour? Because a lot of old bands have been doing that.
Yeah, they did. Just recently, they finally got over their differences enough to do a tour together.
Make money.
Yeah. And from what I understand, it was a good tour. And then they went back to their Doyle. There you go. Doyle is their new singer, which is the bass player that has been in the band since day one. And pretty much everybody has been replaced in this band. I kind of consider them to be kind of like the Dead Kennedys, where they're alleging that they're still a band, but without Jello, it's not it's not the Dead Kennedys, and without
like how
Danzig,
Queen basically replaced nearly everybody in the band.
Did they?
At one point.
Yeah. So if you really want to get your toe into real punk, not pop punk, but real punk, which I'm not bashing pop punk. There's some good stuff in there. A lot of trash, but a lot of good stuff in there too. But if you want to get your feet wet into real punk rock, this is a good start. Ramones are another good start, and Sex Pistols are another good start. Those are kind of the really genre-defining kind of artists of early punk. And you won't go wrong with this album. You just can't go wrong with this album. This album's great. Yeah. So on to our movie review, I guess.
Yeah, so we're going to start with Crawl.
Which I was not going to go see. You did not see.
I did not see because as a Floridian watching the trailers for Crawl looked ridiculous.
Oh, see. Jerry Only is the new singer. Okay, that's Jerry Only. Doyle is the guitarist. Okay.
So Crawl's about a Category 5 hurricane coming into a town and a lady being trapped in a rotting, decaying, falling apart building with a giant alligator or two.
Sort of. Okay, so mostly right. The house wasn't really dilapidated. Yeah. So it really wasn't dilapidated. I mean, it was becoming dilapidated because the hurricane was destroying the house as they were trying to move upwards towards the house to get to the roof. So she has like kind of a weird relationship with her father, who was like her swimming team coach or whatever, which is helpful in the movie, which we'll learn. And she goes down there because she can't get a hold of her father, who's played by Barry Pepper. Do you remember Barry Pepper?
I do.
Yeah, his career kind of died after a little film called Battlefield Earth. I don't know if you recall this film. A great Scientology film.
Did we do a bad movie review of Battlefield Earth?
No, we did one about another Scientology film called The Master, and another one called The Prophet. Which The Master is a great film. The Prophet, don't.
It was not a great film.
It's kind of like a look how these people allegedly ripped off Bob Minton. Allegedly ripped off Bob Minton. But anyways, so Crawl was a getting back into Crawl. Crawl stars a girl that I've never seen before. Maybe I have, and I don't recall her from anything. And Barry Pepper, and she goes down there and just tries to figure out what the heck is going on because he's not answering his phone. There's a Category 5 hurricane coming, and she starts looking around for him and can't find him. And then they found out she's in the house which they grew up in that he's trying to repair while it's in escrow, which sucks because it gets destroyed by a hurricane. Which I don't know if they had insurance. Maybe it was a good thing.
So they would have insurance.
Yeah. And she goes down and finds. She goes down.
So he's trying to repair it during the hurricane is stupid because you're going to begin the FEMA check out of that. Now, of course,
well, he comes to. Well, he's trying to fix up the house, but then the Category 5 hurricane has been announced, and he goes down there to try to board up the house, to board up all the windows and stuff.
Right. And, but here's the thing: you know about that multiple days in advance before the water's all flooded there.
Yeah, but it doesn't make for a good movie if it's already boarded up and they don't go.
Yeah.
So
basically, this is one of those movies where the entire premise of the movie requires people being stupid and acting unrealistic.
Well, no. It's realistic in terms of we'll get into that. So the point is there's a lot of emotion and stuff between the house and the family, and some character stuff that I won't get deep into. Mostly family stuff, because the father and the mother had broken up. She thinks that that she was responsible for the divorce, as kids normally do. And, and he lets her know what's going on. I'm not going to get into spoiler territory, but it's not really spoilers, because you're not going to this to see the family drama, which that is a nice perk. You're going there to see alligators, which wasn't even advertised as alligators. It looked like crazy animals. And I was like, this looks stupid. Just a bunch of giant animals coming, killing. Then it turns out like, oh no, they're just regular alligators who are mad. Okay. I'm enjoying this now, because it's not stupid. It's actually quasi-realistic, and she finds that her dad is under the basement in the crawl space, injured from an alligator bite. And she learns while he's still passed out that, that there's alligators down here, and alligators are wrecking whatever kind of people are still around in the area and killing them while she's trying to call for help. A lot of people try to come and help them and die by the alligators. And so they are trying to do everything that they can to get out, either take a boat or get to the roof or whatever. And
so do you know what alligators actually do in a hurricane?
Go away?
Yeah, they go into the water and they go away. So like there was like a river near this place. So an alligator wouldn't go into a guy's house, though they give a reason why in the trailer, which is also stupid.
So for many of the logical problems or logistical problems of this movie, no, that's a reference. For all those kind of problems with it, it more than makes up for it with suspense and drama and fun and action. And there was an interesting part about this film. I have been raging against the jump scare for quite some time in horror films, because they're used cheap. They're very cheap. They're never executed well, and they don't work on me because most of the time they have like the large chiming bells, and you can always see them coming a mile away, which you can't really do a scary movie about alligators without having the jump cuts. And I think they use them effectively, and it's been a long time since I've seen a jump scare in a movie where I was like, that was appropriate. That was a good use of a jump scare, and it got me a couple of times. It's extremely rare for a jump scare to get me in a horror film, because I see them coming a mile away, and they're stupid, and it just kind of makes it cheap. But if you have a film about alligators attacking people, you can't not do the jump thing, because alligators are not clever creatures that are
Actually, they are.
Well, they're not clever in the way that you're coming like a Michael Myers would.
They have very good senses of smell, hearing, and
Shut up. This is my movie review.
but now you have a better understanding of why I know.
Okay.
Movie.
So this doesn't work for Floridians. It works for everybody else who doesn't know shit about alligators like I do. But, for an alligator to jump out and get you, that's how you expect, if you don't live in Florida, for them to come and get you, not this clever, maniacal kind of seething coming after you type of thing.
They can climb up a tree after you.
Yeah. But okay. So in that respect, I think the jump scares were appropriate and done well. And they didn't have large clamoring bells like in, movies like It or The Nun or anything like that you get those cheap jump scares. They were few and far between, and there was a lot of suspenseful things happening, but not because the alligators were menacing and maniacal and thinking things out logically or logistically, but because conditions of the situation were happening and were making the alligators more accessible to them. As they were trying to climb to the top of the building or top of the house or try to leave. It was pretty good. I was really surprised because I did not want to see this, but Dapperton insisted I saw it. He also said that I should see Child's Play, which I did not. But for some reason I was like, all right, I'll give this one a shot. And glad I gave this one a shot. Glad I did. It was pretty good. Nothing groundbreaking, nothing original, nothing really fresh, but it was a breath of fresh air to see a jump scare used appropriately. So I'm gonna give it.
I can approve of an appropriate jump scare. I can approve of that decision.
Yeah.
So now we're going to talk about the main event movie of this show broadcast today. A little movie called Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So we will give you an advance warning when we get to discussions that are spoilerific. Do you have the spoiler image ready to show everybody what a spoiler will look like?
Yeah, I'll get that ready.
So we have an official spoiler image. Jim will show it to you here in a little bit, and that will show you a spoiler's about to happen, and you should be prepared.
Mm-hmm.
So, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was a really fun movie. It was, I think, the most artistic movie Quentin Tarantino has done. The closest movie to anything he's done to this would be Jackie Brown, but this has an entirely different kind of narrative to literally anything else he's done. I think this movie is going to be a sort of thing that once we get the 10th and final film by Quentin Tarantino, which may be Star Trek, but that's probably part of advanced corporate four-dimensional chess with Viacom and J.J. Abrams and Warner Brothers and all of that trying to sort their business out. I think once we see all 10 movies in perspective, we'll have a much better way of viewing his movies like in a ranked tier of like this is clearly his best work. Because I think a lot of his works, not only are they retrospective talking about the past and they're retrospective taking a look at a past genre, I also think they're really reflective of his view of the past in relationship to the time the movies come out in. So what do you feel in like a broad terminology about this movie, Mr. Jim?
Okay, so this is
The nuts and bolts.
yeah, this is really a fan of cinema's film. If you're not really into movies like The Master, if you're not really into movies like like art house films, if you're not really into all that stuff,
David Anderson,
yeah,
or Wes Anderson.
Yeah, if you're not into that stuff, you might have issues with it. I had some issues with it, but not too many. This is not his best film, but it's
I wouldn't say
definitely
this is his
good.
best film.
Yeah,
But this is a movie that it is clearly his most artistic piece.
right. It's very much an ode to old cinema and art house cinema. It's definitely an ode to that, but I wouldn't go so far as to say it's in the same, maybe the same vein, but it's definitely not completely any of those. So there's elements of them, but it's not one of them. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think, and probably this will change between now and whenever his 10th movie comes out. I think arguably Inglourious Bastards is his best movie. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to pick which one is the best movie. I think Inglourious Bastards is definitely in the discussion there. Obviously, Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs are pretty great.
Yeah, I don't have a list of how I'd rank them, but Django, Reservoir, and Pulp are the three for me that I love the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, one of the things I really like about this movie is how it used not only music, but radio and TV broadcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was this constant music that was always there to make you feel like you're pulled into this beautiful cushioning cloud of a world.
Yeah. Which Tarantino does quite a bit in his films.
Yeah. And it was peppered in there with old-timey advertisements for things like cocoa butter to give you a realistic Hawaiian tan.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of beautiful. And it was also beautiful like how he incorporated all the old restaurants and historical shops and things from Hollywood.
I like
there.
Yeah, I like when they showed the Der Wiener Schnitzel.
Yeah.
Built like I was like, wow, the Der they haven't had Der Wiener Schnitzel since before I was born.
Yeah.
It's always just been Wiener Schnitzel with a W.
Yeah. So that was another element of this movie that was great. That just like it pulled you in. You were in a nice, comfy space. They of course had the classic late '60s, early '70s Pan Am planes in two sequences in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it was all designed to kind of suck you into everything.
The old Playboy mansion.
The old Playboy mansion, that was a great scene.
And everybody was doing the '60s dancing where it looks like they're tussling.
Yeah. Yeah. So, What else can we say before we have to talk about spoilers?
Um, should we talk about a little film that came
Well,
out last year?
but before we do that, here's one thing to talk about. Why haven't Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio done movies together before? This is their first movie together.
Is it? Oh, wow, I didn't realize that. They were great together.
Yeah.
They had
Yeah.
they had a lot of great chemistries.
I mean,
Word, like a friendship chemistry.
all sorts of like action comedy buddy movies with the two of those together. You can even bring in Margot Robbie because she didn't interact with them a lot, but she had good chemistry with pretty much everybody she interacted with.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk a little bit later about the controversy before we get into the nitty gritty of the spoilers. So, what was that you were about to say about a movie?
So there was this movie that I've been trying to get everybody to go see, and to no avail because it bombed at the box office, which is unfortunate because it was probably the better film of last year. Actually, it was my favorite film of last year. A little movie called Bad Times at the El Royale, which was very Quentin Tarantino-esque. It almost seemed like he was trying to take The Hateful Eight and make it much better, because I have problems with that movie. I think it was a great movie. I know there's a lot of people that really hate that movie, but I think it took the general idea of that movie and improved it and made it much, much better. But there's a couple of themes in that movie. One, it takes place in 1969, as does this movie. It has a lot of the same type of music that was played in this movie, though they kind of went more Motown. But there are some songs that were very much reminiscent of Bad Times at the El Royale in this one. In fact, two particular songs, one by the Box Tops. I think it was the Box Tops. I don't recall. I remember hearing it going, that was from Bad Times at the El Royale too. And Hush by Deep Purple. Both songs were
Hush
there.
by Deep Purple, though, if you're making a movie set in this time frame, you for most movies set in this time frame, you're going to want to play that song.
Yeah.
It's such a memorable song from 69/70.
And it also deals with, both movies deal with, though one indirectly, with a person you may have heard of called Marilyn Manson. I'm sorry, Charles Manson.
You mean the Scientologist?
Yes, no. Scientology was too crazy for Charles Manson, so he quit. That's actually a quote from Charles Manson. I was into Scientology, but I had to quit because it was too crazy for me. So it dealt with those three things, and I think that Tarantino incorporated some of those things as a jab to say, "Screw you! Stop trying to take over my, stop trying to take over my niche here." I do recommend going to see Bad Times at the El Royale, probably more than I would recommend people go see this. That's how much I really enjoyed that film, and I'm really upset that movie didn't happen. But I don't know.
Jim and I are both actually considering seeing this movie again.
Yeah, I'm 100% going to go see it again. I really did enjoy this movie. I think I enjoyed Bad Times at the El Royale a little bit more because I think that one had a much more clear vision of what it wanted to be, whereas this one was kind of more of an homage to older cinema. Which I'm not. That's not a bad thing. It's just.
That's a bit more complicated, but again, I got to get into spoilers to go into some of that.
Which I would say the same thing about the Master. It didn't really have a clear vision of what it wanted to be at the end, other than a character piece and its period piece. But that's one of my favorite films of all time, is The Master. So I'm not saying that's a negative thing. I'm just saying in this particular case, I think I'm going to have to give it to Bad Times at the El Royale as being a better film. But these films had elements of each other, and I don't know if Tarantino was trying to make a jab at him as a reference for those who maybe kind of who were in the know. I don't know, but it kind of seems like there was some stuff in there that I was like, okay, you're just being mean right now. Don't be mean to that guy. That movie was great. But go ahead. Should we get into spoilers now? Should we get a little spoiler warning?
Let's showcase the spoiler warning image for everybody.
This is a spoiler image warning. So we're getting into spoilers now.
So we're going to talk a little bit while the spoilers image is loading and we're going through that. So Brad Pitt's character was actually loosely based off of an actual stuntman. That was pretty cool. He got in a fight with John Wayne, invented a lot of the stuff that was notable for the stunt industry and special effects. He actually inspired the story of Cannonball Run, helped make it with the script with Burt Reynolds. He helped Burt write one of the scripts for Smokey and the Bandit, and he directed the movie. He actually directed movies. He had a really great life. He should have his own movie at this point, but it was kind of cool to find out that he was based on that. And there were a couple of actors that I guess DiCaprio. You said you read somewhere his character was based off of.
Yeah, he was based off, or actually, their relationship was actually based off an actor in
Of
there.
Burt Reynolds and Stuntman.
Yeah,
And
who actually Burt Reynolds was supposed to be in this movie, but he passed away before filming, so they had to recast.
Yeah.
Womp womp.
And Samuel L. Jackson was too busy doing Marvel movies to be in this movie.
Yeah.
Though I'm honestly not sure where he could have put Samuel L. Jackson in this movie because it was already pretty loaded.
Yeah.
And that's why there was no N-word anywhere in this movie.
Yeah.
But there were lots of references to beaners.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Careful. We are on someone else's YouTube channel.
Dude, sorry. There were lots of references of a slurish variety towards Hispanic American.
Yeah, I think you were ordering some food and you were asking if they had beans or something else. I think that's
exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So now that we've had the spoiler warning up, we've told you about the spoiler warning. You have been warned, so we're going to get into spoilers. So, of course, the Manson family murders is the ticking clock going on in this movie.
Yeah.
And one of the big things that DiCaprio's character does at his later stage in his career is he works in a lot of 60s police procedural shows like FBI. So this is kind of like a police procedural show talking about the what we know of as the Tate LaBianca murders happening to Sharon Tate. But we're going to get into that in a minute. So a lot of people are kind of confused about how the show is very mellow, very mellow. Oh my God. At the third act. Basically, there are a lot of moments in Tarantino movies that have been very mellow, very chill. This movie had, like, for 2/3 of the movie, it was all mellow and chill moments.
Yeah, it was getting... I wanted to say, like, leading into the third act and the second act were really a slow burn, and it was almost to the point where my brain was starting to go, all right, if something doesn't happen, we're going to be bored soon. But that never really quite happened. As soon as I thought that, it picked right back up. It got fun real quick.
So DiCaprio's character played the star of a popular TV show called Bounty Law, which was based off of Wanted Dead or Alive, I think is what you said, loosely. Yes, this is a spoiler section. That's why there's a spoiler on a motor vehicle there.
Yeah.
So this is our official spoiler image. We use car spoilers to denote spoilers.
Yeah.
And Brad Pitt's not working as a stuntman anymore because he goes through the whole situation with being a drunken alcoholic actor who's failing. So his stuntman doesn't get a lot of work, but his stuntman also murdered his wife.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
We don't really know.
They do show a flashback of him being drunk with a harpoon gun. They're on a boat, and well, you know, drunk with a harpoon gun, things happen.
Yeah.
But that's one of the little bits that just is played in the background there. It's a flashback within another flashback.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's refused to work on a part because somebody is a friend of a friend from the Green Hornet. And that's where the scene from the trailer with the fight with Bruce Lee happens. And that is actually really interesting to me. I'm a big fan of Bruce Lee, but I actually like how this handled him. It took him down a notch because Bruce Lee was kind of an arrogant asshole in the way he presented himself. Yeah. But, you know, when you're a charismatic salesman, you're very frequently presenting yourself as an arrogant asshole.
Yeah, and there is a little bit of a Tesla thing happening with him. I don't know if you're familiar with the real life of Tesla versus the version of Tesla that a lot of people believe. They're completely different people. Tesla was a very smart, intelligent, yet crazy person whose achievements are often over-exaggerated. The same thing kind of happens with Bruce Lee as well. I mean, he contributed a lot to martial arts, but at the same time, a lot of people think that he was a whole lot better than he actually was, even though he was really good.
Well, I mean, he was a very good in competitive matches when he was in competitive matches.
Yeah.
And he drew a lot of negative attention early on from martial arts masters, and he basically went around to martial arts schools in the United States and basically said, these guys are jokes, these guys aren't jokes. So he had a lot of negative feedback with that. But they have a fight, and the point of the fight isn't them fighting. And the joke from the trailer, they actually cut some of the best stuff out of that joke, which actually I was kind of shocked.
Well, I mean, the whole sequence was just leading up for one giant joke at the end.
Yeah, which was pretty great too. So it was the best out of three. So the first one, Bruce Lee very quickly drops him on his ass. Something Bruce Lee did numerous times to people because he was just so quick. So the second time, this character who is a combat veteran threw Bruce Lee into somebody's car and caused a dent. He just chucked him into
just
a
dent. Just a dent.
pretty big dent.
I think you saw his whole body imprinted on the side of the car.
And this was the wife of the gaffer who didn't want him to work on the show, but was suckered into it because he's a combat veteran. Who then later comes with a fight going, what the heck? What happened to my car? Which was the punchline of the joke, which made the joke even better than it was in the trailer.
Yeah.
It was really good, really well put together. So there's two parallel beats, story-wise, of the ticking clock going on in the background. There's Sharon Tate just having her normal life. She shows up to Hollywood, goes to a party at the Playboy Mansion, because of course she does. Steve McQueen's there to explain everything to everybody about her relationship to Polanski and some of the other people that they didn't know. And also, Steve McQueen shows up later in the movie, which is pretty great, too. So just to let the new person showing up is Dapperton's letting us borrow his channel for a little bit to build up our following. So take a listen, and we'll talk about where you can watch the recap of this show later. So anyway, these two parallel stories go on, and they kind of have an interesting little intersection because DiCaprio's character hits rock bottom, does a whole bunch of exploitation movies in Italy, and has such a good time he marries the director's daughter. Which, is probably not a good idea. It's a marriage that's going to be destined for failure, which sets up the finale beautifully. Mm-hmm. A wife who's having a hangover, not having a hangover, having jet lag, and you and your best friend are drinking yourself stupid, and something horrible happens.
Oh, and you find the LSD laced cigarette that you bought earlier that year.
They're like, oh, hey, I'm going to like this.
Oh, yeah. I think now's the time to smoke this.
I mean, I'm already drunk, and I have a large pit bull that I'm walking around. Might as well get high, too. So, the Manson family is also a third little
hashtag adulting.
Exactly. So, the Manson family is also a third little beat in this whole little set of timelines, but they're the ticking clock at the end.
Yeah.
And Brad Pitt's character flirts with one of the Manson girls and then goes to the movie ranch where actually Bounty Law was filmed. Mm-hmm. And meets the Manson family, and he says, oh, this is all kind of weird. This is all kind of weird and strange.
Which is kind of interesting because that's what actually happened in real life, too. The set that, what was it? Few episodes of Bonanza and The Outlaw was filmed. Was the actual home of the Manson family, because I guess the guy who owned the ranch couldn't get anybody to come film there anymore, and so a bunch of hippies showed up on his land and said, "Hey, we'll be your seeing eye person and help you take care of this place." And
we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah,
we'll get to Squeaky in a minute.
Okay,
we'll get to Squeaky in a minute. So what I also liked is they cast Lena Dunham to be one of the weird freako people at the Manson family, which I appreciated.
That was good casting call.
That was a great casting.
Which I will not say often about her. No. I will not say that often about her.
All the people I knew of in the Manson family, I said, yeah, that looks really good for casting. And so Brad Pitt says, so you're staying here at my buddy's place, huh? Does he still live in that house over there? Yeah. How about I go see him? No, don't do that. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to do that. And he's a good dude who wants to help people and wants to do the right thing. Other than the point when he's doing the LSD cigarette later. But I mean, we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
So he goes in encounters Squeaky from, who reveals that, yeah, the old man and I have sex so I can make him
Squeaky's getting
exhausted.
squeaky with the old man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he can be exhausted and in times so we could watch TV later at night. And he's like, yeah, I'm coming in there to see him. And so he goes to the hall, and this old guy who he worked with didn't know that well, but knew well enough. It's like old, blind, in his sick bed. And he's like, listen, old man, this is kind of strange. Is anything bad happening to you? He's like, no. Like, no, really. Is that chick doing anything to abuse you? No. Look, I'm having sex with her, okay? I'm totally into what's happening right now. And he like walks away like that. All right.
That's what you want to do.
And the Manson family freakazoids puncture the tire on his car, which is one of Jim and my favorite sequences in the whole movie.
Fix it.
So there's a jerk that's just sitting on the fence giggling about the car tire being punctured. He's like, fix it. This is my boss's car. If it's stuck out here, I'd get in trouble. Like, no, he's got a spare tire and things, fix it. And the guy continues laughing. He just punches him in the face.
Well, he punches him in the face after he says "fuck you" for.
Yeah, just says "f you."
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
And then the guy starts, mouthing him off again, punches him again. Now everybody comes out of the building like freaking out. They can go get help. Blah blah blah. He says, "Listen," and he punches him a third time. He says, "Listen, any of you do anything, I will kick his teeth in."
Which stops him. And he goes. He throws him into the car and tells him to fix it, and he goes and fixes it.
And it's like, can I have something to wipe the blood off my face? No. And so everything all converges to the night of the murders. And a little teeny tiny detail is the spot where Rick and his, I forgot the name of Brad Pitt's character, parked the car, the big boat that they had, is the spot where they all parked to go on to Sharon Tate's house. So that's the one little thing that bends time around. So they're going on a massive bender. And Rick Dalton, star of Bounty Law, comes out and goes, "Hey, you goddamn hippies in your worthless piece of shit car, get the fuck off my street."
Yeah, it's midnight. Road. It's a private road. Get off my street.
It's a private road. While he's drinking a margarita.
Out of the blender. Out of the blender pitcher.
And they're like, he's clearly intoxicated. And like, they pull away. It's like, wait, that was what's-his-face from Bounty Law. Holy shit, really? And then one of the characters said, when I've been having my, trip sessions, I've been thinking more and more about how these people in Hollywood are the ones who taught us how to murder. And now we should murder them. And that begins to converge to the murder sequence. Now, there's a popular sequence in the trailer, which you've all seen, about DiCaprio using a flamethrower. And they set that up with him talking about, yeah, they train me for a couple hours every day on how to use that thing because that's really effing dangerous.
Is there any way we can get the heat to go down a little bit? It's a flamethrower.
And you later see a sequence, Jim missed this, I didn't, where when Brad Pitt's later repairing stuff on his house, there's the flamethrower and the tool shed. It's like, oh, somebody's going to get burned with that flamethrower.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming.
So
until
I was mentally prepared for that until the climax of the whole thing. So instead of breaking into Sharon Tate's house, they break into Mr. Bounty Law's house. And Brad Pitt's tripping on LSD. And he licks some really gross, disgusting dog food before that. And they show up. Tex actually says his actual, one of the few reported lines that were reported that he said there. I'm the devil, and I'm here to do devil business. And Brad Pitt proceeds to beat the crap out of him and have his dog bite the crap out of him. And then he beats the heck out of one of the girls. Now, the fourth girl, she ran off with the car.
Yeah, she was like, this is dumb. I left my knife in the car. Can I go get it? And then he goes like, yeah, here's the keys. And she's like, oh, yeah, thanks. Bye. So it was just
and then the third woman, who's kind of mauled from the dog, bloody and screaming. She has the gun. She's firing in the air. And she goes into the back where Rick Dalton is, sitting listening to his music player on his giant floating chair in his pool.
Yeah, while he's smashing the redhead's face into the into the fireplace.
Yeah. So Rick Dalton is a lovable loser kind of character. He got really lucky, then his career went on a sharp decline, then it went up for a little bit, and he's up, but he's about to have another decline. But he's that kind of person who he doesn't realize, hey, maybe the reason I've had all these problems in my life is I'm making terrible decisions. That's not who Rick Dalton is. He's the guy who says, I have DUI, and my friend's driving me around. I'm going to keep drinking, but I'm going to tell people my car's just in the shop. So this woman comes, shooting a gun. He's got a new wife with jet lag, sleeping in the bedroom. And this crazy woman bleeding, stumbling around, falls into his pool. So what does he do? What any red-blooded American man would want to do in that situation? He gets the goddamn flamethrower. And he burns her.
To a crisp.
There was laughter and applause at that point in the movie when we were both watching it in our respective theater.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Except I was the first person to laugh because I think I was the first person to see the flamethrower come out. I saw it on his back and I was like, oh, and I just started laughing. And I think everybody was like, what is he laughing? Oh, haha. That's what he's laughing at.
Yeah. So in this alternate Once Upon a Time in Hollywood universe, Sharon Tate never died. I imagine the Manson family... Did the Tate murder or the LaBianca murder happen first?
I think it was a Tate and then the LaBianca. I could check.
So the LaBianca murders didn't happen, and the disruption to the mellow of the 1960s, which to me is the whole movie up until that point, doesn't get to stop. It's all just like...
Yeah. So it happened the next day. The LaBianca murder happened the next day.
So probably after those people all got effing murdered and Brad Pitt provided the information... Cops probably busted in on the Manson family, and they didn't kill people in this movie's alternate universe. And that's kind of good. I mean, I don't think it would have been a good movie if Brad Pitt and DiCaprio saved Sharon Tate from being brutally tortured and murdered.
They kind of did, but in a way that's more appropriate.
Yeah. And a lot of people said that, Roman Polanski was kind of mad that this wasn't done appropriately. No. Now that we've seen this movie... I don't think he would be mad about that.
Yeah, by the way, who cares what he thinks? He's a pedophile.
Yeah, he's a horrible creeper. Yeah. And the movie ends with
Rick
great
Dalton, filmmaker, though, but a terrible
filmmaker. And this movie ends with Rick Dalton being invited up to Sharon Tate's house to have drinks while his wife is cuddling up with a pit bull after, horrible people came into her home in her first day in her new country to try to murder her.
Yeah.
This is why Rick Dalton's soon going to lose half of all his stuff in a divorce. I mean, am I wrong, Jim?
Yeah. Like you have crazy people coming to murder you. We're done. So this kind of begs the question of the would you kill baby Hitler kind of question, because there was the Sharon Tate and LaBianca murders were culturally significant because it brought upon a very huge cultural shift that happened. Because in 1969 was
two events that marked the end of the hippie era.
Not just that, it was the counterculture era completely.
Yeah.
So at the time, this was the height of hippies and the psychedelic movements and, Haight Ashbury and all that stuff. And kind of conservatism and was on a sharp decline, especially with the things happening in Vietnam, and the socialists and the Marxists and the communists and all those people were starting to get more traction in politics and stuff. And when this happened, this was a big thing to say, whoa, okay, we're taking this stuff a little too far. Time to scale it back.
Also, during this time frame in California, there was a college professor who unplugged some speakers that some hippies were using, got on a van, told them to all shut up and stop being hippies and get a real life. And he ended up becoming elected a United States Senator off of that.
Oh, who was that? Bobby?
No, give me a second. It was a senator from California.
So while you looked that up, yeah. So this is when everyone started to take a little bit more of a conservative approach. Nixon, you had Ford afterwards, after he resigned. Even even what's his name, Jimmy Carter was much more of a conservative than probably a lot of his predecessors were. Even though he was for legalized pot, like he did campaign a lot on breaking up the telephone monopolies, the airplane monopolies. He was much for deregulation, much more than you would expect any Democrat to ever be. And then later Reagan. So I mean, if it wasn't for the Manson murders, as terrible as it was, we probably would have been much more of a decline in society than we had been.
So this senator was S.I. Hayakawa. He was a Canadian-born American academic and politician. He was a linguist, and he had his big protest thing happen in 68, 69. It was a bitter student and Black Panther protest in San Francisco State University, and they were trying to get an ethnic studies program, and Hayakawa pulled out their protest speakers and told them to stop. And that got him elected United States Senator several years later. So that's a little interesting tidbit on talking about how everything was changing at that point in time, and one of the things that lit the match was gone.
Yeah. So, in this alternate universe, it could have been very interesting. Not for the good, not for the better. I mean, Sharon Tate and LaBianca and those murders, I mean, those were awful and terrible, especially if you look at the details of that. If you ever get a chance to read Helter Skelter.
Helter Skelter?
Definitely good read. Yeah. In fact, Vincent Bugliosi is probably my favorite government thug, even more than Ron Paul, which we're not going to get into that on the show.
One thing I would have kind of been interested to see, I mean, this movie has a lot in it, was something to talk about how horribly racist the Manson family was.
Oh, yeah. They did not touch on that at all. So the Helter Skelter aspect of the Manson murders was that he believed that the Beatles were giving us secret clues of an upcoming race war that was about to happen. Although he also told them that the Beatles were getting it from him, that like he was broadcasting it while they were getting high on LSD. Oh, yeah, well, obviously. I mean, would you doubt that?
I mean, I'm high on LSD at the time, so that sounds completely credible.
Yeah. And he predicted it was going to happen the year before, I believe, or earlier that year. I don't remember exactly the time frame. And because it wasn't happening, they said, okay, let's go into these affluent white neighborhoods in Hollyweird and murder them and frame it on black people so that we can spur the next race war. And
they had a weird hippie sex commune because they wanted to breed the new white race.
Yes. This is a thing that actually happened. So everybody was like, yeah, we're done with the hippies. We're done. And they got collectively pushed out of...
The other thing was the Rolling Stones had a concert, and they hired the Hells Angels to work security. And there were some hippies who were out of line, and the Hells Angels just beat the crap out of them. Mm-hmm. And that kind of soured a lot of people on the free love and concert movement that was going on in the late 60s. Mm-hmm. Just a little bit.
Yeah, so this was definitely a changing of the gears in society. So
also,
had that murder not happened, it would...
yeah, who knows what the world would have been like.
Yeah, been very different.
So another interesting element, of course, also Charles Manson's really reignited, because there were some historical precedents, but the whole culture of obsession around serial killers and celebrity criminals. He was a big lightning rod to restart that.
Yeah, and that's how we got the Ted Bundys and the John Wayne Gacy's.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, there were some other things that I didn't mention. There was a pilot show that he shot within the movie that was just great character building. And there was this little girl who was a method actor who told him, this is the best acting I've ever seen, when he was playing a scumbag who just threw her to the ground and insulted her rich, posh East Coast brother and saying, hey, you better pay money or I'm going to murder this little girl right here.
Was there any spoilers ever on Stagecoaches? Because that probably would have been much more of an appropriate picture for this.
That probably would have been better.
Too bad.
Another thing I loved in this movie from its character development was how they just had an entire scene where Pitt and DiCaprio were just watching DiCaprio's TV show.
They are super interesting. Serial killers are
And they were
super
just
interesting.
they are. Like Pitt and DiCaprio were just BSing like we're doing right now, watching themselves on TV. I thought that was pretty cool also. And this movie is a example of very good subversion of expectations. Like
Yeah.
I walked into this movie thinking Sharon Tate was going to die again. I didn't know how Tarantino was going to handle that, but my expectation was she was going to get brutally murdered.
Yep.
So the subversion is no, her asshole neighbor is the one they try to murder, but Brad Pitt beats the living shit out of these people
Yeah. Into a bloody pulp and a crisp.
into a bloody pulp and a crisp. Yeah, yeah.
Two bloody pulps and a crisp. A burnt
Also,
bloody pulp crisp.
like we didn't really have we had a certain expectations from the promotional materials that it would be more of a typical Tarantino movie.
That we did not get that.
But like once we watched this, it's like we had absolutely no expectation for what was going to go on with the main two characters. They were just going through their life,
Yeah.
and it was pretty enjoyable to watch.
Yep. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I didn't think it was as good as Bad Times at the El Royale. I think he did Quentin Tarantino better than Quentin Tarantino in terms of The Hateful Eight. But this was really good. I'm really, really happy with this movie. And I think there was a couple digs that was taken at who was the director of that? Who also directed Daredevil, the Daredevil show on Netflix?
Just a second.
Yeah. Drew Goddard. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, beat you to it. My brain worked faster than Google. So yeah, but all things considered, this was a great film. Definitely good for his ninth. I'm just hoping that 10 will blow this one out of the water. I'm hoping.
So what do you think his 10th movie should be?
10th movie would be interesting, but it probably won't happen. Would be interesting to have that world set in. Okay, the hippie revolution never died. Let's kill all the hippies. Let's kill the rest of the hippies.
So my idea is I think his 10th movie should be like Endgame and Infinity War. It should be the convergence of all of his stories, including the stories that he doesn't count in his list of 10. Because like he wrote True Romance,
and
which has
Natural Born Killers, asterisk.
Yeah, so there needs to be a convergence of all of those plot points and elements and themes. And it needs to be something to kind of be his commentary on the state of film today, like his last shot at the whole thing. That's why I kind of thought his doing a Star Trek movie would be interesting, because having him doing a conventional blockbuster with his being very critical of blockbuster movie culture, I think would be really a fascinating movie.
Yeah. But another positive aspect to this one is this isn't a completely original film, which we're not getting a lot of.
Yeah.
But we're getting enough. There are a lot of stuff, but people just don't go see them. People didn't go see. People didn't go. I don't think people are seeing Crawl. People aren't going.
No.
People aren't seeing Bad Times at the El Royale. But there's a lot of great, new, interesting ideas that are happening. Even if they don't work out, there's a lot of good stuff out there.
And every so often we get Jumanji.
Even
like
Jumanji. I mean, that's a remake of an old film, but not really. It's taking it to a very interesting and different and new and fresh direction, which I like. Though the sequel is just rehashing that, but I think in an interesting way as well.
Yeah.
I mean, even when they're redoing stuff, they're taking it into a different and interesting place too. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not all Spider-Man. It's not all Infinity Wars. It's not all Twilight and 50 Shades of Grey and all that stuff. It's Frozen. Ralph breaks the internet.
So
depressed again.
So next week we'll have another one of these shows here, and hopefully more people show up now that they know that Dapperton has a weekly live stream content going on, and we do enough of these. Hopefully you come over to our main channel, which is Recording in Progress, where you're going to archive this broadcast on the main channel. Jim.
Yep.
So let me post that in the doobly-doo. So definitely come over and subscribe there. We have further e-begging we will be doing later, because we want to actually make enough money to reimburse ourselves for some of our expenses because I've been buying a lot of comic books, and I would like to be able to have the show pay for that.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, make enough money from the show that I can make the IRS pay for my buying comic books.
Yeah. So help us defeat the IRS.
Help us defeat the IRS. Exactly. Also, as I mentioned, I'm doing a little comic book project. I have at the moment a Facebook fan page, post that in there too, where I talk about all sorts of stuff related to that. So go there if you're interested in finding out more about that. I'll be posting up more articles and content about that. I also advertise this broadcast on there, so some people are going to be being exposed to not only us but Dapperton as well because of that. So check that all out. Don't pay taxes.
If you're not going to pay
how
taxes,
well that worked out for Nicolas Cage and Wesley Snipes and Willie Nelson.
Yeah, so if you're not going to, that's a good qualifier to end on that. If you don't pay taxes, but stay safe too. Because you're going to need to do both.
So I hope you all enjoyed what we had for you here today. I enjoyed coming here. Mr. Dapperton, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity.
Yeah, thank you for your service.
When this was first presented to us, like Jim and I said, like, we're the small off the beaten end of the main Vegas Strip doing a show. And like one of the main Vegas casinos says, listen, Pawn Stars on Ice isn't selling. We need something to fill in some time until we can come up with a better show. You're laughing because they would do Pawn Stars on Ice.
No, they did do Pawn Stars on Ice. That was a thing that actually exists.
Oh, God.
No, it was Pawn Stars the musical. Which is even worse than on Ice.
So,
how does one sing? I have an expert. Let me go over to a buddy of mine who's an expert on that. Oh, God.
So, it's time for...
Every day we stray further from God.
So, it's time for us to stop the recording and let the progress flow on out. So, hail worms.
Hail worms.